Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Om Sthavakaya Cha Dharmasya Sarvadharma Swarupine Sthavakaya Cha Dharmasya Sarvadharma Swarupine Avatara Varishtaya Ramakrishna Te Namah. Asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityormamritangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let us offer our salutations to Sri Ramakrishna, the embodiment of all religions, the Supreme God Incarnate. Let us pray to Him to lead us from the unreal to the real, to lead us from the darkness of ignorance to the light of knowledge, to lead us from death to immortality. We have been studying Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. The topic I have chosen, God can be seen. Since last two classes I am dealing with the same topic, and I am dealing with the topic in this class also. In the first class we have mentioned what is needed for to see God in this very life. It has been pointed out by Sri Ramakrishna in the Gospel that one-pointed, single-minded devotion is very important. What Bhagavad Gita calls it as avyabhicharani bhakti, unadulterated love of God. That experience cannot be described in words. It is just to experience oneself, and he will not be able to describe that state because he will enter into samadhi. Bhagavad Gita also has dealt with this subject. One should totally renounce everything and seek God alone. One has to shake off all attachment from his mind. In the second class we have studied, we must have some relationship to practice. Sri Ramakrishna has suggested master-servant attitude is excellent. Why Sri Ramakrishna is preferring servant attitude means, in the attitude of servant, the ego will not have any play. And it is a very important thing. A person who is well aware of his ego cannot see God. So Bhagavad Gita talks about Tyaga. The whole essence of Bhagavad Gita is, Gita means Tyagi, Tyaga. You have to sacrifice everything for the sake of God. And then faith and devotion. You must have tremendous faith, unshakable faith, and remarkable devotion. So these are the points which we have touched in the last two classes. Sri Ramakrishna's meeting with Vidyasagar is very significant. In fact, the whole gospel of Sri Ramakrishna serves as a spiritual guidebook. What is needed in spiritual life is practice. That's all. That's all that is required. So every moment of our life should be used for practicing spirituality. Sri Ramakrishna recognized many virtues in Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar. Because he was so good in his activities in the world, Sri Ramakrishna thought it would be very proper that he should meet him and guide him towards God. So, without any invitation, Sri Ramakrishna himself went to meet Vidyasagar. It's a very nice topic. There Sri Ramakrishna tells Vidyasagar, well, the activities that you are engaged in are really good. And then he gives a spiritual turn. He tells him, it is very good if you can perform them in a selfless spirit, renouncing egotism, giving up the idea that you are the doer. Through such action, one really develops love and devotion to God, which ultimately leads him to realize Him. The more you come to love God, the less you will be inclined to perform action. When the daughter-in-law is with child, her mother-in-law gives her less work to do. As time goes by, she is given less and less work. When the time of delivery nears, she is not allowed to do any work at all, lest it should hurt the child or cause difficulty at the time of birth. God can take any form. It is described Bahurupi Paramatma. Bahurupi. Countless forms He has got. So don't worry about, oh, there are so many gods and goddesses, it confuses me. Why should it confuse? On the other hand, you must be joyful to have so many choices. So many options are there. You can take anyone whom you like. Anyone. Lord Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, whoever worships whatever form, I instill faith in that form and he will be able to see me, realize me. That's the assurance given by Lord Krishna. So, never entertain any doubt. Hold on to your deity whom you have chosen for adoring. and practice spirituality seriously and sincerely. That's all. Everything will be done. Sri Ramakrishna tells further to the Vidyasagar, by these philanthropic activities, you are really doing good to yourself. If you can do them disinterestedly, your mind will become pure and you will develop love of God. As soon as you have that love, you will realize Him. But one thing you must be very clear. You must have that attitude. You must feel that all the works you are doing are offerings to God. If you have that approach, then work will not bind you. On the other hand, it paves the way towards the abode of God. Man cannot really help the world. God alone does that. He who has created the sun and the moon, who has put love for the children in parents' hearts, endowed noble souls with compassion, and holy men and devotees with divine love. The man who works for others without any selfish motive really does good to himself. There is gold buried in our heart, but you are not yet aware of it. It is covered with a thin layer of clay. Once you are aware of it, all these activities of yours will lessen. After the birth of her child, the daughter-in-law in the family busies herself with it alone. Everything she does is only for the child. Her mother-in-law doesn't let her do any household duties. So, we must give a spiritual turn to the philanthropic activities. Otherwise, there is every chance, instead of going in a spiritual way, you will be going in just opposite direction. So all the moments, every moment of life should be properly monitored. How much time we waste in abusing others, in criticizing others, in talking ill of others. So, how can you put that mind in contemplating God? Mind should be clean, free from all the impurities. Next teaching, Sri Ramakrishna points out that in spiritual life, don't stop if you get here and there some experiences. Don't think that you have realized the truth and jump into teaching others. Never do that. Teaching others, you can do only when God commands you to do it. Otherwise, shut up your mouth. Concentrate upon the divine. God knows how to teach and when to teach. You don't have to bother about that. He has got his own plans. He will do. So what is needed is go forward. So Sri Ramakrishna gives the example of a woodcutter. He entered a forest to gather wood. A brahmachari was passing by. He saw this man and said, "Go forward." The woodcutter obeyed the injunction and discovered some sandalwood trees. After a few days he reflected, the holy man asked me to go forward. He didn't tell me to stop here. So he went forward and found a silver mine. After a few days he went still farther and discovered a gold mine, and next mines of diamonds and precious stones. With all these he became immensely rich. Sri Ramakrishna has mentioned many times that one should engage oneself in selfless activity. It is through selfless work love of God grows in the heart. Then, through God's grace, one realizes Him in course of time. God can be seen. One can talk to Him as I am talking to you. Sri Ramakrishna is telling by his own experience. He was talking to Divine Mother. If anybody asks anything, he would immediately go to Mother. Oh Mother, somebody is asking this question. So he would get the reply from the Divine Mother. In silent wonder, all the spiritual seekers sat listening to the Master's words. It seemed to them that the goddess of wisdom herself, seated on Sri Ramakrishna's tongue, was addressing these words not merely to Vidyasagar, but to all humanity for its good. Now the meeting was over. It was about 9 o'clock in the evening. Sri Ramakrishna was about to leave. And he said to Vidyasagar, smilingly, well, the words I have spoken are really superfluous. You know all this. You simply are not conscious of it. There are countless gems in the coffers of Varuna. That means Lord of Waters. But he himself is not aware of them. Vidyasagar also replied in a very interesting way. He said, well, you may say as you like. Sri Ramakrishna said, oh yes. There are many wealthy people who don't know the names of all their servants and are even unaware of many of the precious things in their houses. I want the fan. Everybody was delighted with the Master's conversation. Again, addressing Vidyasagar, Sri Ramakrishna said, please visit the temple garden sometime. I mean the garden of Rasmani. It's a charming place. Vidyasagar said, of course I shall go. You have so kindly come here to see me, and shall I not return your visit? Sri Ramakrishna said, visit me? Oh, never think of such a thing. Vidyasagar said, why sir? Why do you say that? May I ask you to explain? Sri Ramakrishna said, you see, we are all like small fishing boats. We can play in small canals and shallow waters and also in big rivers. But you are a ship. You may run aground on the way. All laughed. Vidyasagar remained silent. Sri Ramakrishna said with a laugh, but even a ship can go there at this season. Vidyasagar said, yes, this is the monsoon season. Yam said to himself, this is indeed the monsoon season of newly awakened love. At such times, one doesn't care for prestige or formalities. Sri Ramakrishna then took leave of Vidyasagar, who with his friends escorted the Master to the main gate, leading the way with a lighted candle in his hand. And Vidyasagar and his friends bowed to Sri Ramakrishna, and the carriage started for Dakshineshwar. The little group with the Venerable Vidyasagar at their head, holding the lighted candle, stood at the gate and gazed after the master until he was out of sight. Lord Krishna also has said in the Bhagavad Gita that one can see God. Arjun asked Krishna, "O Krishna, if you think that I am able to see your cosmic form, please show me that immutable self." Lord Krishna was very gracious. He knows the qualities of Arjun. Pashya me partharupani shatashota sahasrashaha nana vidhani divyani nana varnakritini cha. Arjun, see my forms, by hundreds and thousands of different sorts, divine and of various colors and shapes. Then Krishna showed to Arjun his supreme form, Vishwarup. Arjun saw the whole manifested universe with various forms. Then Krishna again showed his own form, and assuming his gentle human form, consoled Arjun, who was terrified. And Sri Ramakrishna has mentioned that if a person has got single-minded devotion, he can see God. Lord Krishna says in the chapter 11, last verse, Mat karma karan mat paramo mat bhaktaha sangha varjitaha nirvairas sarva bhuteshu yassamameti pandava. He who does all actions for me, who looks upon me as the Supreme, who is devoted to me, who is free from attachment, who bears enmity towards no creature, he comes to me. How can the Lord be seen? The heart must be overflowing with true devotion to the Lord. Sri Ramakrishna said, one must pray to God without any selfish desire. But selfish worship, if practiced with perseverance, is gradually turned into selfless worship. Sri Ramakrishna gives the example of the young boy Dhruva. He practiced tapasya just to obtain his kingdom. But at last he realized God. When Sriman Narayan gave darshan to him, when he asked him, "What do you want, my boy? Please ask." "O Lord, by seeing you, all my desires are fulfilled. Just, I am happy with you, and I should be like that only. I don't want anything." Then of course, Lord himself, no. You started worship with the idea of becoming a king. Well, it's all right because you are pure and devoted. I accept what you said. I always give vision to you. Whenever you think of me, I will present. Why should a man give up gold if he gets it while searching for glass beads? God can be realized when a man acquires sattva. Householders engage in philanthropic work such as charity, mostly with a motive. That's not good. But actions without motives are good. Yet it is very difficult to leave motives out of one's actions. And Sri Ramakrishna asks, when you realize God, will you pray to Him, "O God, please grant that I may dig reservoirs, build roads, and found hospitals and dispensaries"? After the realization of God, all such desires are left behind. Then mustn't one perform acts of compassion such as charity to the poor? Sri Ramakrishna answers it, no, I don't forbid it. I don't mean that. If a man has money, he should give it to remove the sorrows and sufferings that come to his notice. In such an event, the wise man says, give the poor something. But inwardly he feels, what can I do? God alone is the doer. I am nothing. The great souls deeply affected by the sufferings of men show them the way to God. Shankaracharya kept the ego of knowledge in order to teach mankind. The gift of knowledge and devotion is far superior to the gift of food. Therefore Chaitanya Deva distributed bhakti to all, including the outcast. Happiness and suffering are the inevitable characteristics of the body. So, when we are passing through inevitable situations, we should not unnecessarily bother about them. We have come to eat mangoes, fulfill that desire. The one thing needful is jnana and bhakti. God alone is substance, all else is illusory. Sri Ramakrishna cautions about pride, conceit, or egoism. They all mean about the same thing. If you are trying to be the right kind of person, it can seriously get in your way. And Sri Ramakrishna tells the story of Narad. Narad was really a great devotee, undoubtedly. But he was also quite proud of it. And that's not a very good thing. It went so far that one day he began to imagine that there was probably no one in the whole wide world who loved the Lord so much as he did. He began to feel that way. Now God has a way of reading one's heart, knowing our secret thoughts. After all, our heart is just where he is seated. So one day he told Narad, go to such and such a place, someone greatly devoted to me lives there, go and get acquainted with that devotee. Narad was surprised. Then he went to the village, inquired, and found that the man was a farmer. The villagers described him as a great lover of God. Narad was curious to know about his devotion. He saw that the man got up early in the morning, uttered the name of the Lord just once, then went to his fields and plowed and tilled the soil all day long and did all his other tasks. Then at bedtime again he repeated the name of the Lord once and then he went to sleep. And this he was doing every day. Morning once repeating, evening before going to bed repeating. Twice a day. Narad began to ask himself, how can this crude farmer be a lover of God? He just works all day at his commonplace duties, and what attention does he pay to the Lord? Anyway, with this thought, he came to the Divine Lord and told him what he thought about this farmer. The Divine Lord listened and said, look, Narad, I want you to take this cup of oil full to the brim and go all the way around the city and come back to me. But one thing, you must not spill one drop on the way. See that you don't. Now, one of the things Narad was most proud of was that he was always able to carry out any command of God. So he set off with the cup of oil and made his way slowly around the whole city. not spilling even a drop. Returning to the Lord, he was totally exhausted, but he was happy to report he was successful. Then the Lord asked him, how many times did you remember me while out on your walk? And he was in a great fix to answer this question. So he has to tell the truth. Oh Lord, not once. How could I, when I had to watch this brimming cup of oil all the time? You forget me completely? Just in preserving this cup of oil? But that farmer, though carrying the burden of a family and a farm, still remembers to think of me twice a day. So this humbled Narad. He realized that is really, he should not be proud. Another story Sri Ramakrishna tells. There lived once a certain wise king. There was a Pandit, well scholar, very good in scriptures. He had read many holy books. He came to the palace and asked to see the king. Then he addressed him, Your Majesty, I should like it very much if you would permit me to teach you the Bhagavatam, which deals with the life of Sri Krishna. I won't require any unreasonable fee. Now the king, he was not ordinary, he was a very wise king, a good judge of human nature, knew enough of that great book to realize that the Pandit, scholar that he was, still had not understood what it says. Otherwise, why would he be coming to a king's palace in search of wealth instead of seeking for the Lord in the depths of his own heart? He wants something reward. So he has come. So the king said to the Pandit, Well, I see that you have not fully mastered the Bhagavatam as yet. I will make you my teacher only when you have learned it well. As he went on his way, the scholar thought to himself, Why, I have been studying the book over and over all these years. How foolish the king is to say that I have not mastered it. Yet a seed of doubt had been sown in his mind. He carefully read the book again and again. This time the king repeated the same thing when he came to see him. Mightily puzzled, the Pandit reached home and shut himself in his room. He pored over the whole book day and night, and gradually the truth began to dawn on him. Then he began to see his own vanity and greed for the riches and courts of kings, and also for his own fame. Now he applied himself entirely to the worship of God and never thought once of returning to the king. After a few years, the king became curious and paid a visit to the Pandit's house. He himself came. There he found a changed man, radiant with divine light and love. The most surprising thing is, the king fell on his knees and said, You have now realized the true meaning of the Bhagavatam. Now I am ready to be your disciple if you will teach me. What is important is that we should be zealous in our spiritual pursuit. We must build up stamina. Not only physical stamina, mental stamina. Then only you will be passing through. You can overcome all the obstacles that might come upon the way. No penance can be equal to peace. Real penance consists not in leading the life of an ascetic in a forest, but in worshipping God in thought, word and deed. Kaya, Vacha, Manasa. What is the need for any penance to acquire peace if that peace is already present in the heart? Peace can be obtained when one's vision is turned inward. There is no penance equal to peace. There is no happiness greater than contentment. There is no worse disease than desire. Desire is considered as disease. There is no righteousness equal to compassion. There is no happiness greater than contentment. Na santoshat param sukham. How many miserable people are there in the world who have all the comforts they need? Dhritarashtra, for example, the king of Kauravas, he had every regal comfort. And not only that, he had 100 sons, but could find no peace. Creature comforts cannot be equated with peace. Contentment, it is said, confers the greatest happiness. Lord Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Santushto yena kena chit. Be happy and contented with whatever you have. Don't aspire for anything. It follows that true happiness resides in the heart and everyone should seek it there. Excessive desires are the source of all ills. There is momentary satisfaction from the fulfillment of some desires. But when desires are not realized, man becomes sick in many ways. There is no more dreadful disease in the world than insatiable desire. So, you must become aware by this time how desire plays havoc in one's life. There is no right conduct, dharma, equal to compassion, for the simple reason that a compassionate heart is the abode of the divine. Where there is compassion, there is no need for other acts of charity. Awareness of Atma and ego. The Indian sages from ancient times have given the highest place of honor and esteem to one word, Atma. This is also known as awareness or consciousness. This awareness finds expression in the term I. When this aham, that means I, identifies itself with a bodily form, it becomes the ego. Then it's called ahankar. This ego is not the natural state of aham. It is by relating itself to a particular form that it becomes the ego. It is pure and unsullied consciousness. It is a mind that comes in the way of the proper understanding of aham. Just as the clouds that arise out of the vapors produced by the sun may hide the sun for a time, the mind veils the aham by its thoughts and desires, though the mind arises from the Atma. The role of the mind in relation to the Atmic principle has to be properly understood. It operates as an obstacle to the awareness of the Atma. The term I is originated in the Atma. The I is the form of Aham. Terms like Aham, God, awareness and Atma, they are all synonymous. When the I is rightly understood, one becomes a knower of self. One becomes Atmajnani. There is Atmic principle There is a fundamental principle to which I is related. The I has no basis in the body. It must recognize its link with its primary source. Every object in the world has its origin in a primary source. This cannot be created by anyone. There is a primordial source which is responsible for all creation. From the worldly point of view, we have a doer, the duty, and the deed, karta, karma and kriya. But from the spiritual point of view, all the three are one and the same: the doer, the duty, and the deed. This Atmic principle is one and one only. It is said that being, awareness, bliss, Sachidananda, are the attributes of the Atma. These three are not three distinct entities. They are not three different states. Awareness and bliss are present in being, like sugar that is dissolved in water and becomes one with its syrup, becomes one with it as syrup. An illustration will explain why it is difficult to recognize the Atmic principle. A cup contains fruit juice. The cup is not aware of the nature of the juice. A man uses a straw to suck the juice. The straw does not know anything about the juice. The intellect, buddhi, recognizes the taste of the juice. It recognizes, it doesn't enjoy it. The juice is sent down to the stomach, where it gets converted to three parts: the gross, which is excreted; the subtle, which becomes blood and helps sustain life; and the subtler, which goes to the constant integrated awareness, prajna shakti, and which is synonymous with this Atman. In this analogy, the cup is the body and the straw represents the senses. Prajna is the Atma. Prajna, awareness, I, Atma, Ananda, Brahman are all synonymous terms. Worldly people may see differences in these words, but in spiritual parlance they mean the same thing. So, the Master says, divert your mind to the other I. That means the I is of two kinds. One is associated with attachment to the body. The other dissociates itself from the body. Both are I. But the I that is identified with the body becomes the ego, ahankar. The ego carries a form wherever it goes. But the formless I, which not identified with the body, is the Atma. The formless Atma has no attributes. But when it is associated with a form, it has all the attributes. Today, people experience only the I that is identified with the body. They cannot conceive of an I that is not identified with the body. They cannot conceive of an I without a body. But by treating the body as the basis, if the vision is turned inward, the Atma can be experienced in due course. This is called direct perception of the self. It means tracking the I to its source. Who am I? Asking the question and probing inward. A man walking with his back to the sun will be treading his own shadow. Only when he reverses his direction will he be able to leave his shadow behind. The same process applies to the realization of the self. Realization of the self means seeing God. The self is God. The journey must be directed towards the self within and away from the external world. What is needed today in the world is the diversion of the mind from preoccupation with the external world of nature to the divinity within. This is the spiritual discipline we have to do. In this way, we see the divine in everything instead of seeing nature as a physical phenomenon. When we see the external world as a manifestation of God, We will not notice the phenomenal aspect of nature. View nature as a manifestation of God. How is this to be experienced in real life with its joys and sorrows? It can be understood from an example. When you sleep, you have dreams in which you experience joys and sorrows. They seem real as long as you sleep. On awakening, you realize that they were all unreal and mere dreams. In the waking state, you have other experiences. What is the relationship between these two categories of experiences? What you experience in the waking state is also a dream. It's called a waking dream. The reality is that in both the states, the sleeping and the waking, you are present as the dreamer. The difference between a dream in sleep and what happens in the waking state relates mainly to the time factor. In a dream in sleep, a person may go through the entire experiences of his life from childhood to old age in a few minutes. The dream compresses the experiences of many years within so many minutes. Likewise, what happens over many years in the waking state may appear as a few moments in spiritual experience. Our conception of reality is related to the time factor. Time causes great differences between what is about by time. The awareness of the unchanging reality underlying the phenomenal world of change is the Atmic principle. It is present in everyone as the Aham, but each one views the world from their particular circumstance, background and experience. The Atmic principle is explained or described in different ways. There is no connection between its reality and the way it is experienced. The analogies used for explaining the Atmic principles have inherent limitations. God is omnipresent. How do you describe this omnipresence? There is a special practical means of deciding it. We are aware of the 5 basic elements: earth, water, fire, air and space, with 5 qualities: smell, fluidity, illumination, touch and sound. The earth has all 5 qualities, including primarily smell. Water has fluidity. It is lighter than earth and is mobile. It has 4 qualities. Fire has 3 qualities, of which form is most important, most prominent. It is lighter than the water. Then you have air, which is lighter than fire and has 2 qualities: sparsha, touch and vibrant movement, shabda. Last comes ether or space, akasha, which is the subtlest of the 5 elements and is all pervading. Transcending space is God, who is omnipresent. When you pursue your inquiry in this manner, you find that the different qualities account for feelings and reactions. These qualities have to be brought under control. Simultaneously, one has to reduce the burdens of mundane existence and the desires that fill the mind. Man today is weighed down by an overwhelming burden of desires. Spiritual progress is directly related to the reduction of desires. God's grace goes with human effort. Every individual has the divine power. They invoke divine power as an auxiliary to their own power, which comes from the divine. Failing to recognize their inherent divine power, they attribute it to someone other than themselves. So, the spiritual master says, make the God the foundation of your life. There is a saying, Dharma protects its protector, it destroys its destroyer. Likewise, when your faith in the divine is total, that faith will help you develop that confidence in the self. The self is not visible, even as the foundations of a big mansion are not visible. But without the foundations, the edifice cannot stand. Likewise, self-confidence is a base for self-satisfaction. The root of the mansion is self-sacrifice. Then you have self-realization. Man must develop strong faith that will confer all spiritual experiences. The Upanishads declare, arise from the slumber of ignorance and go forward towards awareness of the self. Whatever other beliefs you may cherish or not, have firm faith in God. All things in the world are liable to perish. The self alone is eternal and changeless. It is unfortunate that the vast majority of mankind lead mundane lives forgetting God. Make God the foundation of your life. Carry on normal duties. Duty is God, work is worship. Spiritualize all your actions and treat whatever happens as action for your good. Learn to experience perennial bliss by seeking union with God. Never forget God. Don't go after the things of the world. Have no fear of death. When your life is rooted in these three maxims, you will realize the Atman. Never forget God. Don't go after the things of the world. Have no fear of death. These are the three maxims. And if we follow these things, surely we can see God. Our Atman is God Himself. Page 945. Sri Ramakrishna smilingly asked Narendra, "Well, what do you think of me?" Narendra said, "You are a hero, a handmaid of God, and everything else." These words filled Sri Ramakrishna with divine emotion. He placed his hand on his heart and he is about to say something. He says to Narendra and the other devotees, "I see that all things, everything that exists, have come from this." He asked Narendra by a sign, "What did you understand?" Narendra said, "All created objects have come from you." The master's face beams with joy. He says to Rakal, "Did you hear what he said?" Sri Ramakrishna asks Narendra to sing. Narendra intones a hymn. His mind is full of renunciation. He sings, "Unsteady is water on the lotus petal, just as unsteady is the life of man. One moment with a sadhu is the boat that takes one across the ocean of this world." Narendra has hardly finished one or two lines when Sri Ramakrishna says to him by a sign, "What are you singing?" That's a very significant attitude, a very commonplace thing. Now Narendra sings about the love of Krishna impersonating one of his handmaids. "How strange, O friend, are the rules of life and death. The youth of Braja has fled away, and this poor maid of Braja soon will die. Madhava is in love with other maids, more beautiful than I. Alas, he has forgotten the milkman's artless daughter. Who would ever have guessed, dear friend, that he, a lover so tender, so divine, could be a beggar simply for outward charm? I was a fool not to have seen it before, but carried away by his beauty, I yearned alone to hold his 2 feet to my breast. Now I shall drown myself in the Jamuna's stream, or take a draught of poison, friend, or I shall bind a creeper round my neck, or hang myself from a young tamala tree, or failing all of these, destroy my wretched self by chanting Krishna's name." Sri Ramakrishna and the devotees are greatly moved by this song. The master and the Rakal shed tears of love. Narendra is intoxicated with the love of the gopis of Braja for the sweetheart Sri Krishna, and sings, "O Krishna, beloved, you are mine. What shall I say to you, O Lord? What shall I ever say to you? Only a woman am I, and never fortune's favorite. I do not know what to say. You are the mirror of the hand, you are the mirror for the hand, and you are the flower for the hair. O friend, I shall make a flower of you, and wear you in my hair. Under my braids I shall hide you, friend. No one will see you there. You are the betel leaf for the lips, the sweet collyrium for the eyes. O friend, with you I shall stain my lips. With you I shall paint my eyes. You are the sandal paste for the body. You are the necklace for the neck. I shall anoint myself with you. my fragrant sandal paste, and soothe my body and my soul. I shall wear you, my lovely necklace, here about my neck, and you will lie upon my bosom, close to my throbbing heart. You are the treasure in my body. You are the dweller in my house. You are to me, O Lord, what wings are to the flying bird, what water is to the fish. This completes chapter 49. So in the next class we shall start the next chapter, chapter 50, the Master and Buddha. Chant the name of the Lord and His glory unceasingly, that the mirror of the heart may be wiped clean and quench that mighty forest fire, worldly lust, raging furiously within. Own name streamed down in moonlight on the lotus heart, opening its cup to knowledge of thyself, O self, drowned deep in the waves of his bliss, tasting his nectar at every step, bathing in his name that bath for weary souls. Various are thy names, O Lord, in each and every name thy power resides. No times are set, no rites are needful for chanting of thy name. So vast is thy mercy, how huge then is my wretchedness, who finds in this empty life and heart no devotion to thy name. O my mind, be humbler than a blade of grass, be patient and bearing like a tree, take no honor to thyself, give honor to all, chant unceasingly the name of the Lord. O Lord and soul of the universe, mine is no prayer for wealth or retinue, the playthings of lust or the ties of fame. As many times as I may be reborn, grant me, O Lord, a steadfast love for thee. A drowning man in this world's fearful ocean is thy servant, O sweet one. In thy mercy consider him as dust beneath thy feet. Ah, how I long for the day when an instant separation from thee, O Lord, will be as 1,000 years, when my heart burns away with its desire, and the world without thee is a heartless void. Prostrate at thy feet let me be, in unwavering devotion, neither imploring the embrace of thine arms, nor bewailing the withdrawal of thy presence, though it tears my soul asunder. O thou who stillest the hearts of thy devotees, do with me what thou wilt, for thou art my heart's beloved, thou and thou alone. O Lord, lead us from the unreal to the real, lead us from darkness to light, and lead us from death to immortality. May all be free from dangers, may all realize what is good, may all be actuated by noble thoughts, may all rejoice everywhere. May all be happy, may all be free from disease, may all realize what is good, may none be subject to misery. May the wicked become virtuous, may the virtuous attain tranquility, may the tranquil be free from bonds, may the freed make others free. May good betide all people, may the sovereign righteously rule the earth, may all beings ever attain what is good, may the worlds be prosperous and happy, may the clouds pour rain in time, may the earth be blessed with crops, may all countries be freed from calamity, may holy men live without fear. May the Lord of destroyer of sins, the presiding duty of all sacred works, be satisfied. For he being pleased, the whole universe becomes pleased. He being satisfied, the whole universe feels satisfied.